Hey there, welcome back to another video. This time around, it is my review of the 1998 cult hit action comedy, The Big Hit. Now, The Big Hit, to me personally, is a gem. I think this is an underrated mashup of action and comedy that, while it's not perfect, it's really entertaining and fun to watch. Now, before I get around to sharing more of my thoughts on the film, though, I would like to give a special shout out to Bazoko. I think that's how you pronounce it. If I'm wrong, feel free to let me know. And huge shout out goes to him for requesting this review. Now, The Big Hit is directed by Kirk Wong. And prior to this, he directed films like Crime Story with Jackie Chan, which is probably his most well-known film that he directed, Crime Story in 1993. Um, and this, I think, was his first American film. And I personally feel his direction in this, for the most part, except for maybe a few scenes where there's a bit too much slow-mo, I think he did a really dynamic and dynamite job. I think he did a really wonderful job directing this. I think it has a really slick style to it. I think it definitely has a good amount of octane in it. And I just really liked his usage of angles and different sort of camera techniques for the most part, especially when it comes to the film's action sequences, the shootouts, the scenes involving explosions, the fights, the chases. And I think he did a good job too when it comes to the more comedic moments, when it applies to his direction, as well as the sequences that were trying to be a little sexy, trying to be titillating. And it's just a really finely crafted, well directed film. And I don't think that Kirk gets nearly enough credit for his direction in this. The only problem I have with his direction is just a little too much slow mo in like one of the shootouts near the beginning. But other than that, I think he did a good job combining quick cuts and different types of camera angles and POV shots to really create a energetic, fun looking film that matched the energy of the movie as a whole. The screenplay is by Ben Ramsey, and Ben Ramsey, if you look at his filmography, it's definitely one of those writers where he killed it with The Big Hit and then never came close again. I mean, after The Big Hit, he wrote Love and a Bullet with Treach, which is a shitty movie. And then he wrote Dragon Ball Evolution. Yes, he wrote Dragon Ball Evolution. So he started it out really good. He started out with in my opinion, for the most part, good screenplay. And then he went on to write absolute trash like Dragon Ball Evolution. But his screenplay here, I really like. It's a fun mashup of action and a couple different genres of comedy. So you have a lot of scenes involving shootouts and explosions and car chases and fist fights and stuff like that. But you have like a very silly and comic book tone, which definitely makes it stand out. In my opinion, in a good way, because it does a good job with the tone for the most part, except for maybe some scenes with the comedy where I think it's a bit off the mark. But for the most part, I think even the comedy works. I mean, there's so many scenes involving Cisco's character that are just laugh out loud hilarious. Crunch, his whole character arc is just being one long masturbation joke, and it's actually written in a clever way, so it actually is pretty funny. Smiley and him being this pussy whipped hitman is also something that is utilized and handled well by the writer. And from the very beginning, it opens up and it's got this hilarious scene between these hitmen exchanging bags full of cut up dead bodies. And it's really dark and twisted and very funny. So there's a lot of moments like that in this that have some really hilarious bits of dark comedy or have some really hilarious bits of silly, surreal comedy. For instance, the rich Asian who is the father of the girl Kiko, who winds up becoming kidnapped by Smiley and Cisco and company. Her father went bankrupt because he spent all of his money making this extravagant, over the top box office bomb called Taste the Golden Spray. I mean, that is just hilarious. That is so funny. Like, that must be like R. Kelly's favorite movie, Taste the Golden Spray. And there's just a lot of moments in this script that are really clever and really funny. There's a whole subplot involving Melvin Smiley, the main character, trying to return a VHS tape of King Kong Lives back to the local video store. And then the climactic final fight between Smiley and Cisco takes place in the video store. That is just really fun. And it's definitely not something that's realistic at all. Like from the very beginning, when you get to the first action sequence in a hotel, it's just very over the top and totally something out of like a Hong Kong action film. I mean, it's to the point where Smiley is going off of staircases with bungee cords and shooting bad guys, jumps out of a window before the hotel explodes, and with the bungee cord, and manages to get out of there alive and falls conveniently into a pool down below. But even when it comes to those sequences, the over the top elements work because of how the script balances the over the top action with moments of levity and comedy that make it so it's not really something that's intended to be taken that seriously. So you're more able to turn your brain off because you have these scenes where Cisco and one of the other hitmen who's a part of the group that Smiley is a part of, named Vince, they're just screwing with Smiley. He's asking for backup and they're just ignoring him while they're having cups of coffee and talking shit. And then they wind up trying to take credit for Smiley's hit later. Like, it's definitely one of those screenplays that has a lot of tongue-in-cheek elements in it, but that actually works in its favor. I even think the romance between Kiko and Smiley is also something that works here. I think if it was handled differently, it could be really awkward and honestly kind of creepy and weird. Apparently, the original idea was to make it more like anime and actually have her be a schoolgirl, and I'm glad they didn't go that route because that would have been really creepy and disturbing and not the right vibe. So they made her a college student around the same age as Smiley, so it wasn't anything that felt like Mark Wahlberg's character Smiley was trying to perv on an underage girl. And I like the fact that she had a lot of free will. She definitely tried to trick him at one point and escape after he let his guard down and took the handcuffs off because he started to fall for her. But then later on in the film, when she has every opportunity to just leave him and not be with him, she chooses to be with him because she actually does like him and the feelings are mutual. And even Smiley himself, there's like a line of dialogue where he's talking to her and try and make sure that this is actually what she wants. So I definitely like that approach, and I felt the two were a good pair as a result. And the fact that she was a free thinker definitely helped Smiley become a better character and become a better man who wasn't so pussy whipped and manipulated by these other girlfriends that he was with at the time. Uh, uh, the gold digging Pam and Chantel, who were totally just using him for every last bit of money that they could get out of him. And I actually really like the fact that Cisco becomes the main antagonist and the main villain. A fellow hitman of his who you could already get a sense that they're kind of not close, and Cisco thinks very low of Smiley, when it comes to Smiley's reputation and the kind of person that Smiley is. But once Cisco's plan completely falls apart when he kidnaps Kiko and he thinks that, okay, I've kidnapped this girl. She's the daughter of this rich Asian guy named Hiro Nishi. I'm going to get, $1 million back in ransom. But Cisco is such a moron that he didn't think it through and didn't think of the possibility that Hiro might not have the money, or that Kiko is actually his boss's goddaughter, which I thought that was a great twist. And so that eventually he winds up having to work for Paris, his boss, and try to find who kidnapped Kiko. And like he knows who did it because he did it. He's the one that orchestrated this entire plan. So he has to go and kill his partner, Gump. And then he tries to pin it all on Smiley. And then he goes after Smiley with his army of hitmen in tow. And it's just a lot of gunfights and explosions and car chases until the end credits. And some comedy as well. I mean, the whole scene where Cisco has Kiko, and I apologize if I butcher pronouncing her name multiple times throughout this video, but he has the girl and he's trying to get her to read off this note, the ransom note, and it was written by Gump, so there's just a ton of misspellings in it. And so she's just reading it as it is, and Cisco's just getting repeatedly more and more frustrated. And then he starts asking her to improvise. He's like, "Oh, improvise, improve. What are you, Meryl fucking Streep?" So like, there's just a lot of moments in this, in terms of the dialogue with Cisco and the interactions he has with either Smiley or Kiko, that are really, really funny, that are just splittingly hilarious, if you ask me. And even when Cisco winds up getting taken out by Smiley at the end in the video store, he still leaves you with a hilarious quote where he's talking about how all I wanted to do was sail my boat, man, navigate by the stars, see dolphins race alongside, you know, maybe even kill a few of them. So I just really enjoy and really appreciated the writing for that character and just a lot of the dialogue in general. But I definitely have to admit the stuff with Gump though got a little old for me because he's just a stereotypical wannabe white rapper. That's basically all he is with a stutter, and he got annoying. And honestly, I wish that there was more involving Vince than anything with Gump. Like, why do we need Gump? Just have it be Vince who's working with Cisco. Because in the film that actually was released to theaters, Vince just is there in the beginning to show his ass and then gone for the rest of the movie until the end credit. Not the end credits, but till the last sequence when he shows up as a limo driver. And I'm like, where the hell did Vince go? And apparently, in deleted scenes, he was a cross dresser, and that's what he was doing. And I'm like, well, I can see why that was deleted because that's just not really something that I think was needed for this movie. And I think it was just a cheap joke, a lazy bit of humor. But really, like, that's the best concept you had for that guy is just for him to just be a cross dresser. Like, why didn't you just have him work with Cisco? You had this whole scene where he was sharing coffee with Cisco during the shootout at the hotel. Why bring in this other guy out of nowhere in Gump who wasn't there during the shootout and wasn't there in the locker room at Paris's place either at the start of the movie? So I don't get that. Like, it just that decision felt honestly pretty questionable to me when it comes to the writing. And so did the whole stuff with Pam and her parents. Why don't you just combine the two characters together? Combine Pam and Chantel into one character and have Pam cheating on Smiley with that other guy and have that other guy still be a fan in King Kong Lives. Like, you don't need Chantel to begin with, and then you give Pam more to do. And then you don't have, and then I would not have as much focus on the Schulmans, her parents, because that's just a lazy bit of comedy there where they're stereotypical Jews and ha 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 and the father is a drunken fool who vomits when he drinks too much. Like, I don't really think that added that much to the movie. Also, there's the stuff with the video store guy that was also a little too ridiculous. They kept cutting back to him too when he kept calling Smiley to try to get him to give the videotape back. Like, once or twice is fine. You didn't need him to really be that prominent and that prevalent throughout the movie because I felt that was just a little distracting. That was moments where the tone started to clash a little too much for me. But like I said, for the most part, I think the comedy still works, and the action definitely does. The chase through the forest when Cisco is chasing after Smiley on foot is an absolute thrill, and so is the climactic fight between Cisco and Smiley in the video store. Um, and there are also some other moments that I want to mention. There's just a lot of like absurd random comedy in this or just randomness that definitely does add to the movie and makes it stand out from a lot of other films like it and makes it more unique. Like the whole repeated gag where Hero he is trying to commit harikiri and he keeps getting interrupted by the kidnappers who are calling him at his house, or this scene that cracks me up every time that I see it, where Smiley drives up in his SUV to this driveway, and you hear this guy yell, "Wrong house again, asshole!" And then he backs out of the driveway and then parks into the driveway of his house instead. Like, that just killed me. That is just so hilarious. So, yeah, there's a lot of stuff in this that I think works very well. And I think that's a reason why it's a cult classic for a lot of people, is because there is a good mix of comedy as well as action, and there's a likable enough cast of characters. Because Smiley's written in a way where you definitely sympathize with the guy because he's so pussy whipped. He's a hitman. He kills people for a living, but the script does a good job making it feel like he's a guy who still has a good heart. So you root for him as a result, and you want him to get the girl. And you want him to, take out Cisco. Uh, and it definitely helps this movie that you have such a charismatic, charming, likable lead. And it makes it into something that doesn't really have a lot of dull moments as a result because of the fact that you're just on his side and you want him to do well. Uh, and I mean, how many films have a climactic final battle in a video store with advertisements for Trauma Video everywhere? Like, there really aren't that many movies that have that kind of finale. So, yeah, I think that this script, despite some moments where the comedy is a bit off the target, or there were some other things involving the characters that could have been done a little bit better, I think this is a good script overall. And I also think that this is a really good cast. You got Mark Wahlberg, who plays Melvin Smiley, and this is honestly, I would probably say, my favorite role of his. I really enjoyed his performance in this. He was charming, he was likable, he was funny when he needed to be. I believed him as the acrobatic young hitman, and yeah, it was a character that wasn't a bore like a lot of other Mark Wahlberg characters would go on to be later on in his career. They just felt like they were all the same. So it was fun to see him play this kind of character, and he pulled it off very well. And I don't think it would have worked as well with a different actor like Jason Scott Lee or Martin Lawrence, which were some of the other actors that were rumored to play that role. Definitely not Jason Scott Lee. Um, and Lou Diamond Phillips just steals every scene that he's in. I mean, LDP is the MVP in this as Cisco. You just tell he loved every scene he was in. He just loved playing this psychopathic, crazy scumbag character, and he was hilarious. He was also intimidating. It was just a really fun bad guy performance to watch, and it just shows how talented of an actor Lou is. Like, he could play a bad guy, a ruthless, sadistic piece of shit, just as well as he can play a heroic character, like he's done in plenty of other films prior to the big hit and after. Christina Applegate, gorgeous, smoking, hot as always as Pam. Uh, Trying to, do a little bit of a Jersey thing here, but it works. I just feel that for her, because it was such a limited role, but she does what she can. And Avery Brooks, he was good as Paris, the leader of the hitmen. Bokeem Woodbine, he was fun as Crunch. Uh, Big Top Video's #1 adult a video customer. And Antonio Sabàto Jr. I can't say much because he just showed his ass and was in it for like 2 minutes. China Chow in her acting debut, I thought was excellent. I genuinely felt she did a really good job with her performance. Had some great chemistry with Mark Wahlberg and was funny in her own way. Just great sardonic, sarcastic line delivery throughout the movie. Lainie Kazan and Elliott Gould as Jeannie and Morton Schulman, and not that great to me. Shimono is a hero. He was he was pretty solid as Kiko's dad. Robin Dunn as Gump, I didn't care for, but I don't really blame Robin Dunn. I blame the writing and the kind of character he played more. Lela Rochon as Chantel, just a gold digger in the most kind of bland, forgettable way, but she was hot. Danny Smith is the video store kid, kind of irritating, got on my nerves, but it was fun to see uh, the co-star of Big Wolf on campus in in this movie as the video store kid. But I would definitely say it's Mark Wahlberg, China Chow, and Lou Diamond Phillips' movie. Like they carry this film. Now the cinematography by Danny Nowak, I liked for the most part. I thought it had a good look to it. Definitely matched the slick vibe that Kirk Wong was trying to provide the film with. And the editing by Robin Russell and Pietro Scalia, I thought was spectacular. I thought it was really special. Is a big reason why the film has this high octane energy throughout it is due to the editing. How the action scenes are edited, how the chase scenes are edited. And I felt some of the transitions in particular were really tremendous. Like there's a really cool transition when Smiley jumps out of the hotel window right before it explodes. And then he lands into the pool down below and you see the reflection of the explosion on the water, and then the scene transitions with the explosion, so you see essentially the scene that you're looking at that moment explodes and burns away into the next scene. So I thought that was really cool and a really fun transition. And some people might consider that to be corny, but when it's handled right and it's done well, I think it actually adds to a film. It adds some extra attitude and style and flair to a film that wouldn't be there otherwise. The score by Graham Revell, it's kind of like the direction where it starts off a little off kilter, takes a little bit to get going and find its footing, but then once it does, it's actually a really decent score by Graham Revell. In particular, I really like the music that he did for the forest chase sequence and during the video store fight. So, yeah, I mean, the big hit to me, I think it's a hit. I honestly really recommend this if you like action comedies. Don't expect nonstop balls to the wall action though. It does have some action in it and it's well done, but it's not really a straight up action film. It's more of a mix of action and comedy. Um, so if you go into it looking at that and understanding that going in, I think you'll definitely get more out of it if you're just looking at it as just a straight up action film. And I think that's why some people were confused by it when it came out because it was marketed as a straight up action movie, and that's not at all what The Big Hit is. It's an action comedy. But yeah, that's just my thoughts on The Big Hit. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you later. See ya.